Good morning, everybody, and welcome to our live broadcast. I am Steve Farrell. I'm a co-founder of Humanities Team. I'm coming to you live from our studio here in Boulder, Colorado. I've got on the screen with me the lovely Olivia Hansen, who's a dear friend and partner of Humanities Team. Now, also, when you saw this whole little thing come up, the slide before we came on live on camera, you could see there was also Diane Williams and there was Deborah Moldow and another gentleman. I want to just share, Olivia, Deborah, and Diane are actually all dear friends that have been involved with Humanities Team for a long time. They're all three on our board of advisors. And we're going to talk to you about an amazing trip. This program is actually devoted to an amazing trip that just happened to Dharamsala, India, where, as you know, this is where the Dalai Lama takes up residence with his organization, and where Olivia and Diane, Deborah actually had to stay back from the award ceremony, but where they presented him with the Oneness of Humanity Award, which is really special and really very important in today's world. And boy, are we going to talk to you about why that is so important in today's world. I want to shout out first, though, to friends of Olivia Hansen, the Evolutionary Leaders, Diane Williams, Deborah Moldow, Humanities Stream Plus. So, and I'm going to wave at you all because I can see you guys on camera. Some of you are live right here in the studio with us. Humanities Team. So out on our social media, on YouTube, on Facebook, and the Sign Network, Sign.network, and John Raymer, he's broadcasting out to his sites. So to all of you, welcome. And we have a very special program in store for you. Boy, Olivia and I have a lot of really important and fun stuff that we're going to get to here during the hour. So let me introduce these three. And again, two couldn't be with us live today, though we're going to share a recording that we made this week that was for today's program. And it's Diane Williams and Deborah Moldow and their trip to Dharamsala and involving this whole ceremony and things. So I'm going to actually introduce all three here. Let me start with Olivia. Olivia Hansen is president and founder of the Spiritual Life TV channel and the Synthesis Foundation. She is a member of the Evolutionary Leaders Circle and is a longtime teacher of the ageless wisdom. Olivia collaborates with organizations and people of consciousness who advance ideas of oneness and cooperation to benefit all people in our world. And she, again, has been a huge partner of ours, of Humanities Teams. And again, welcome to you, Olivia. So great to have you with us.
Great to be here.
Okay, and then Diane Williams is the founder and president of the Source of Synergy Foundation. She was the co-initiator with Deepak Chopra of one of its main projects, the Evolutionary Leaders Circle, which aims to inspire, support, and serve conscious evolution. Diane is a recipient of the Spirit of the United Nations, the Golden Rule, and PMAC Peace Awards, and was acknowledged by the Emily Fund for a Better World as one of the heroes for a better world. And Diane, we appreciate you. Okay, and then Deborah Moldow is an ordained interfaith minister committed to assisting in the transformation of human consciousness to a culture of peace through her ministry, international peace work, and interfaith efforts. She is the director of the Evolutionary Leaders Circle and has served for more than 20 years as the representative to the United Nations of May Peace Prevail on Earth International. And big welcome to you, Deborah. Again, you're going to see them here during the program as we unfold it. I want to just share, as we get started into this, why this program is so important for us in Humanities Team. Because we are a 501c3 nonprofit. We turned 20 years old just this past June. And when we founded Humanities Team, Neil Donald Walsh and myself in Wilsonville, Oregon, 20 years ago, the thing that we were sharing from the stage is that we are all one. We are all one. The ageless wisdom, and we were saying, there's the first domino. That if you go upstream to the challenges in today's world, both individually and collectively, where we, of course, in today's world, see many people that are quite challenged, as we know. And then out in the collective, the challenges are substantial, as we know. And see, Humanities Team was actually founded to address this, where we say we're going all the way upstream to address this whole illusion of separation, right? That And you may have, Albert Einstein was the guy that walked that in here so many years ago during his lifetime, where he said, the greatest illusion in the world is the illusion of separation. And then he went on and talked about this optical delusion where, well, Olivia and I are separate. What do you mean we're that we're connected and actually a part of the one? And he said, well, we are, and we have to free ourselves from this prison, right? People are probably familiar with that quote. This is what humanity's team is devoted to. And it's what Olivia and Diane and Deborah and the evolutionary leaders with their unitive narrative are devoted to, is this, what science is affirming now, right? That, and Albert Einstein was out in the lead there about 100 years ago, but now in quantum physics and Nobel Prize for Physics and, the IONS organization, Nassim Haramein, his Resonance Science Foundation, we could go on and on. There are many scientists that are now making it their life work, but they're saying, it's a non-dual universe. It's in harmony. It's that there's a spiritual, a universal intelligence that's animating all of life, right? So, and we're all fingers on that hand of the universe or of God, if you please. So this is why this is so important, because this was a huge effort. We were just in the green room, Olivia and I was sharing, to plan, organize, fund a trip like this to Dharamsala, India, and to meet with the Dalai Lama, to present him with an award. This was huge. These women devoted a huge resources to going on this trip, and it was, and thank God they did. It was a very important trip. So that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to take you through this journey, and we've got a couple of videos we're actually going to play during the hour. But Olivia, before we go to any videos, just some of the initial kinds of comments you'd like to make.
Yes. Well, you and I and other leaders of wonderful groups, Humanities Team is outstanding. We were all together, in March in Sedona at a gathering of group leaders to see how could we collaborate to up-level our ideas about oneness and reach more and more of our 8 billion brothers and sisters in the world. And I think that, and it was the Hola movement gathered in Sedona. And I think it inspired all of us to think, well, okay, we're doing a lot, but what more can we do? And so for me, I had started the Synthesis Foundation, and we were doing good work bringing synthesis is bringing all the parts together into one, is the idea behind that. And the Spiritual Life TV channel was promoting oneness and the idea of the golden rule that's found in every religion, that kind of thing. But, how are we going to reach more and more? And so I was talking to my dear friend Rinchen Darlow, who went on the trip with us, and he is the retired president of the Tibet Fund. And I was talking about how I just saw the Dalai Lama as such a shining example and model of this oneness. And his message goes out so well. He doesn't use fancy words. He says things like, we're all the same. And that's really true. We are, at our core, we all have this same inner divine essence that connects us all. There's no place where God is not in the world, And so he suggested, I was talking more and more about that. And actually, it was Rinchen that suggested, well, you could establish an award for oneness. And it was like, yes, Rinchen, what a great idea. So that was where the idea came from. And so the award goes to outstanding individuals as well as organizations who are doing exemplary work in the world for oneness. And so organizations like Humanities Team and others, and then it can be people, and it comes with a cash award too, so that some resources can be used to help advance those ideas. So that was how it began, and it was under the category that we're all thinking of what more can we do? You know, our world is so divided now, and there's just so much harmfulness being put out there that we want to bring everyone together, and but also get it out further and further into the world. This idea of oneness, so that each person sees and knows and feels that they are part of this initiative. And so, you know, I think we see that these ideas are shared through religion. Okay, so the golden rule, love thy neighbor, through philosophy, through science, as you mentioned, Steve, and now the Nobel Prize in Physics just went in 2022 to three quantum physicists who talked about the idea of entanglement. And so now this idea isn't just a nice idea, but it's being proved in science. But the thing is that we have all these ways of being exposed to the idea of oneness, but there's and nature and all these things. But we also can have this just by being quiet, meditating, going within, prayer, walking in nature. We can have this inner knowing about oneness, knowing that we're connected. And then that becomes our own affirmation of these ideas that are being shared through these other sources.
Yes, it does. Yeah, and this is as we were again in the green room talking, boy, this is the real invitation. We're going to come back to this point throughout this program is really living into this because the beauty, the peace, the grace, the blessing, I could go on. And this is a conscious crowd that's here. So you know what we're talking about. And Olivia too, you know, I came from the Silicon Valley world with all of that special treatment there. Olivia's seen that. Her that's her. You know, her she came from that world, and boy, doesn't it feel so good, Olivia, as we live into this. You know, our bigger self, so to speak. You know, where we are kind of a finger, you know, in the hand of God, where we're in service to the world around us. It just feels so good because, you know, perhaps in this we're made this way. I don't want to get off on other points here, but perhaps we're actually made this way, and just as we live into our bigger self, it just feels so good. And when it feels good, it's just like if you get a massage and it feels good, well, you're going to go back for more. So, and where we live into our bigger self, we say, that really feels good. Well, then we're just going to go back for more. And at some point, it's like we've lost touch with the little self. It's not getting any energy or attention anymore, which is, and then the whole world tips, right? That's the tipping point thing where we make conscious living pervasive worldwide, which is our mission. And humanities team. So, but I want to go to this trip, this extraordinary trip of Olivia Hansen, Diane Williams, Deborah Moldow to Dharamsala, India. So let's go. This is an 8-minute video we're going to show. This was actually just put together because this trip happened very recently. And this you'll see, this is narrated by Olivia, and she's going to take us through the award ceremony. And with pictures of the Dalai Lama and so on. And so we're going to go look at that. And then Olivia and I are going to come back and we're going to talk about it. Then there's a second video with Diane Williams, Deborah Moldow, and our own Carissa Sims, who hosts that program. So you'll enjoy that too. Well, that'll come a little later in this hour. Okay, here we go. We're going to go take a look at Olivia's narrated video here right now.
Recently, 3 co-workers and I traveled to Dharamsala, India, to present the Oneness of Humanity Award from the Spiritual Life TV channel to His Holiness, the Dalai Lama. Accompanying me were Diane Williams, Rinchen Darlow, and Deborah Moldow. I noted that the purpose of our trip to Dharamsala is to honor His Holiness, the Dalai Lama, with the Oneness of Humanity Award for his outstanding life's effort to promote oneness and kindness and compassion, and to be such a shining example of it himself. I love his simple message, we are all the same. Everyone can understand that. It's similar with his messages for us about expressing kindness and compassion too. At this critical time for the world, we need His Holiness the Dalai Lama, who is the embodiment of these high ideals. He was the natural choice for the first recipient of the Oneness of Humanity Award, which will continue to be given each year. His Holiness sets the inspiring model for future recipients of the award, as well as for all of us and our 8 billion brothers and sisters all over the world in our one human family. It is truly a joy to present this award to His Holiness, the Dalai Lama. And here are some pictures of the award presentation.
겨울은 지금만 간주 근데 중국 이제 워싱턴 DC 중국 이제 진다통에 조들이 이 겨울은 탱카시 제브레 들이 쿠란주 단데 싱다디 쿠란주 촉보촌에 싱다디 겨울은 질 필요지스티 촉보디 진다디 쿠란데서
땡큐.
디 님도 단데 청우지 두디 가상은 달라마 트러스트 디나사서 로
And then, yes. Oh, how did you see that?
He's going to hold it and take the photo.
Yeah.
Yeah. You want to look here, please? Ready? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
어? 아이,
촉보딜라 콘주 디직도 Oneness of Humanity Award.
oneness.
Of Humanity
됐다.
Award. 제가 디 달로 겨울음 질 표현인스. 딩임도 청우딩 아주 가상 탭게라 디난 차소. 디야 표현인스 Olivia. No.
Thank you.
And this is the sponsoring group, Spiritual Life TV. And these are the pictures of you and the World Peace Talk that you gave on the West Lawn of the U.S. Capitol. And we'll leave you with that.
Concept of oneness of entire humanity. That's my main effort. Oneness of entire humanity. That's my main effort.
Yes. Because here we have the Holo movement, and this was your
Yes,
sign.
oneness
Yes,
of humanity.
from London. Yes.
Very good, very good.
And so I was giving a talk about what you
Thank
were
you.
doing, and I gave a talk, and then we had these pictures of you blown up, of you and David Bohm.
디 데이비드 봄레 겨울음 징에마 사이언티스트가 데이비드 봄.
David Wu.
로 디 겨울음 다 데이비드 봄 생게 쿠바 직데서.
Yes. So I'm giving a talk and I'm telling them about you and David Bohm. And then here's a big
David Bohm,
picture
no.
of you and David Bohm. And this is one of our friends who, Deborah, who wanted to be here.
No.
And of course, Rinchen Darlow is here next to you. And then this is Diane, and these are the two sponsors of the Holo movement. And that is bringing together all these leaders of groups that that promote oneness, like unity, unify humanity's team.
겨울음지 공부 여부 직부터 Oneness of Humanity 주 상마 레고 다가라 빙에레스 군주 촌에 겨울음지 깔라빙에는 군주 야마 점블링나로 캬비아 칸투 되치기요시기도.
Yes. No. And these are all the leaders you've inspired. And we said, let's us leaders work together and get the oneness of humanity out more into the world. So that is what we're doing there.
Yeah.
All these leaders of organizations. And then this was when I announced the first Oneness of Humanity Award to you, Your Holiness, because you were such an outstanding example of oneness.
Thank you.
And this is a book about the Holy Movement, all these people that that wrote about the oneness of humanity.
No,
with our rank code.
You want these blessed?
Yeah. And then we would love to have you bless these katas and these healing malas from someone who does wonderful healing, and he never charges for it.
Thank you for blessing our work. Thank you for your work.
We would appreciate your blessing for the work of oneness.
그런서 레고지졸 겨울음지 투문나로 나슈도. No. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. And here's our last picture of the sunset in Dharamsala, concluding our spiritual journey.
All right, what an extraordinary ceremony there. That was really totally beautiful. And the Dalai Lama, as you mentioned, Diane and Deborah, I know were very moved during the trip too by, he is such a beautiful expression of oneness. You just can feel it in his high vibration, can't you, Olivia?
Right. Just, I've done a number of programs and things with His Holiness, and just being close to him, you're in that aura, and it radiates compassion and love and kindness. But I also wanted him to know about other groups that were doing this work of spreading oneness. And that's why I shared those pictures with him. And I hope you heard Humanity's Team mentioned that name.
We did. Yeah.
So I think that it's just encouraging when we know more and more about all these wonderful efforts being done all over the world, that people are working to advance oneness and kindness and compassion.
Yes, it is. And you know, Olivia, of course, we convened our own group here back, maybe it was 5 weeks ago or so, with all of these leaders. So that these people you're bringing in, Emmanuel Kunzelman, Irvin Laszlo with Upshift, Ben Bowler, the Institute of Noetic Sciences. We had 12 other organizations that came in to present with us to do exactly what you were talking about when we were in Sedona, where we bring all the leaders together that are now focused on this. There's some that share, and I'm one of them, that we're now in the age of consciousness, right? And we all remember back years ago, decades ago, with the age of information, right? Information technology and internet and so on, this digital age that was coming in, and which of course is very alive in today's world. But boy, now, there's this other new big wave, important wave is coming in, the age of consciousness, where we're understanding we aren't our body. We have a body, but that doesn't mean that we are our body, right? There's a turnstile of non-physical life and physical life. And so when we're here, then what contribution can we make? You were sharing, again, in the green room, Olivia, as we were talking, that it's really about kind of finding our own way into service, what I'll call our bigger self, which you exemplify so beautifully, by the way, where you are in service to so many wonderful organizations and to the awakening of oneness in the world, the embodying of this whole diversity and unity thing. And it's so important, again, I would just come back to this theme of in today's world where so many people are concerned, about babies being born into the world, these young kids, what future might these people have? Where we awaken to our bigger self, this where we understand we're a part of this whole universal consciousness that's animating all of life, that the universe and God can't be without us. We're inseparable from these things. Where we understand that and live into it, that's the game-changing thing. That's the thing that creates a sustainable and flourishing planet for these babies and young kids. And that's the thing every morning that, takes my passion thermometer up very high. Because I'm like, I've lived a great life. I'm a boomer. Fantastic life. I'm not worried about myself. Looking at these young people that are coming into the world and future generations, like let's create, for them what we've enjoyed, just this beautiful planet that they can inhabit for eons of time. That's kind of part of what this all comes back to, Olivia.
Right. It really does. And for the future, for now, we're building the future to come. And so what we do now, and this is such a critical time, we look out and we see all the divides and the now wars and conflicts and the rise of authoritarianism and not respect for people's values and freedom and that kind of thing. And it can be so discouraging. It can be so alarming. And yet we know that there's this inner awareness that we can tap into, a higher awareness. And it's all about consciousness, as you say. And then when we do that, we get the inspiration, the uplift. And it's almost like it brings us in contact then with other people that are thinking and the same thing. And so Humanity's team is so good at creating community. And I think we realize as humans, we need community. When we went through COVID and we couldn't interact and we were isolated, that's not the human nature. The human nature comes from this idea of we're connected and we want to be together and have friends and interaction. So it's our natural way to branch out more and see and experience a sense of oneness if we'll just open to it. But I think also being in community like Humanity's team creates, we get that encouragement. And we all will have a day when we're not as optimistic about things as we might be, but then we watch a program or we hear someone speak, and then we're back in that energy flow of this higher consciousness and awareness that can really inspire us and keep us going through the challenging times. And it inspires us more to work together in every way we can. We don't realize how important we are in so many ways of people's lives. Just a smile, a kind effort that we make. We don't know what they're going through. They may be going through a terrible challenge in their life, and just our little kindness that we do can inspire and uplift them.
Yes, it can. Yes, it can. To be inspired, and then that's inspiring for others, where they can feel our being inspired, our inspiration. So I'm going to read some quick comments. And then we'll go to a quick question, and then we're going to go to this 20-minute video that was prepared. Carissa Sims with Humanities Team, Diane Williams, and Deborah Moldow. Wow, this is a real amazing video that takes you on this journey into Dharamsala with all of what, of course, the Dalai Lama award ceremony, but so much more. You're going to really enjoy this video. But first, so Debbie, who's right here in the green room with us, says, such a special Christmas gift, this program, and what you planned here, Olivia, in deep gratitude, she says. Okay. And then Helena, she's out on social media on Facebook. She says, this is truly a blessing, Olivia. The light pours through the award to His Holiness. You can see how touched he is by this honoring. So thank you, Helena and Debbie. It's also true. Then Mayapita, okay, and hopefully I'm not mispronouncing Mapayita's name. She says, why do you call him His Holiness? If you want to briefly get to that here, Olivia.
Well, it is an honorarium that so many people give him because he is living and is an expression of compassion and kindness. So he has a role in which, in the Buddhist tradition, he plays the embodiment of compassion. And for all of us who are not Buddhists but appreciate the work of His Holiness, we see the livingness and the expression of it. And I think that's really the most important thing, is how do we live our life? What is the quality we bring with us? So that's why we call him His Holiness. Yeah, it's really a deserving honorary title, because David Hawkins so many years ago wrote his book Power versus Force, where all of the research was done around consciousness and the very lowest levels of consciousness, and it's a logarithmic scale that goes from 0 to 100, to 1,000. And wow, so somebody like the Dalai Lama, what this research shares is he can offset 70 million people that are living at a much lower level of consciousness. And you might say, now how is that possible? Go to a program. I'm not sure that he travels so much anymore, but if you've been to a program with the Dalai Lama or Thich Nhat Hanh or some of these, it's like, wow, you can tell the whole stadium, you can hear a pin drop. People are just kind of basking in that energy. Yeah. One of the things that I sponsored with the Dalai Lama, I got in meditation the idea that he should do this religious initiation called Kala Chakra for world peace. I had attended one when I was young. I didn't know much about it, but you could just feel this energy that was there. And so I had this prompting to invite him to do a Kala Chakra. And he eventually, and he only does things that he's invited to do. And so someone else in Washington, D.C. invited him too, and he said yes. So then I went to Washington, D.C., and because he chose that for his spot. And it was just amazing, because these big arenas that hold 14 or 15,000 people, they're usually a sports arena or something like that. And they spend, the Dalai Lama and his monks spend about 3 or 4 days in meditation, chanting, that kind of thing, all open to the public. But they are transforming that energy and bringing in higher energy before they even begin. And you can just feel it, because you go there and at first it's the sports arena, and then after a while it becomes something very sacred and holy, like we feel if we walk into a cathedral, a temple, a mosque, or whatever. So this thing about energy is real, and we are, Humanities Team also has programs that talk about that, these tangible things of we're learning to expand our consciousness and awareness about these things and get a felt sense of this as well.
Yes, indeed. And they say the next Buddha is a Sangha, which means you and me and all of community here on the earth. And I believe it's true. I believe it's true. That's why we're doing this program, actually. It's an invitation to really live into this fully and experience the magic. Okay, we're going to now go to this 20-minute program. Again, it's Diane Williams, Deborah Moldow. It's hosted by Carissa Sims. Boy, you're going to enjoy this. And Olivia wants to say something first. Yeah.
I just want to say one thing. So we were going to Dharamsala. I had been to Dharamsala several times, and I wanted our group to experience certain things. And so I had been working closely with the Dalai Lama's secretaries, who lined up these amazing sites and places for us to visit. And even as you'll see, appointments with the Dalai Lama's personal doctor, because our group was interested in Tibetan medicine. And so we had these amazing pictures, and it was like, well, yes, we could share these and take everybody with us to Dharamsala, and you'll just feel like you were there. Deborah and Diane did the most magnificent job. So that can be kind of an introduction to what we're going to see.
They did, yeah. It's an amazing recording that they created here, and again, they both are. Diane is the founder with Deepak Chopra of the Evolutionary Leaders Circle, of which I'm a part, and Deborah Moldow is the executive director. So they're totally dedicated to this whole awakening of oneness, this diversity and unity that people are awakening to, and most importantly, embodying. So that we create these marvelous ways of living in the world. Okay, we're going to go to the video, and then Olivia and I will come back and talk about it. Here we go.
Hello, I'm Carissa Sims, live event host for Humanities Team. I am so honored to introduce Diane Williams and Reverend Deborah Moldow, sharing their incredible journey of presenting an award for the Dalai Lama. Let me share a little bit about Diane. She is the founder and president of the Source of Synergy Foundation and co-initiator with Deepak Chopra of one of its main projects, the Evolutionary Leaders Circle, that aims to inspire, support, and serve conscious evolution. She served as founding chairperson of the NGO Committee on Spirituality, Values, and Global Concerns at the UN in New York, and co-chair of this committee in Geneva. She is also on the board of advisors of Humanities Team. Welcome.
Thank you.
Now, Reverend Deborah Moldow is an ordained interfaith minister committed to assisting in the transformation of human consciousness to a culture of peace. She is the director of the Evolutionary Leaders Circle, an initiative of the Source of Synergy Foundation. Deborah is also the founder of the Garden of Light, an online platform that provides a virtual home for the emerging global spirituality. Now, let's get to your presentation, Diane and Deborah.
Well, thank you so much, Carissa. We're so pleased that Humanities Team has invited us to share our visit to Dharamsala. And Deborah and I are so grateful to our beloved friend, Olivia Hansen, founder and president of the Spiritual Life TV channel and the Synthesis Foundation, for inviting us on this journey to present the Oneness of Humanity Award to His Holiness the Dalai Lama, along with our dear friend Rinchen Darlo, who has served as the Dalai Lama's representative to the Americas and the president of the Tibet Fund before his retirement. And we know that Humanities Team mission is to help people to awaken to the oneness of everything, so they can embody that awareness in every aspect of their lives. So this award and the mission of Humanities Team beautifully complements each other. So while in Dharamsala, we had the opportunity to be immersed in Tibetan culture, and we are delighted to share with you some of the highlights of our time together.
We arrived in Dharamsala first glimpsing the peaks of the Himalayas from the small airplane coming from Delhi and then landing in this magical place. We were warmly greeted at the Norbu House Hotel by its owner, Mr. Wang Du. And this beautiful hotel overlooks the town. I had last been in Dharamsala 25 years ago when it was still a sleepy mountain town, where the Tibetan community settled in 1959 after being gifted land in this old British hill station by Jawaharlal Nehru, the Prime Minister of India. But now, as you can see, Dharamsala has grown into a bustling Indian center filled with hotels and businesses and shops. But the magic comes from the Tibetans, who have reestablished the seat of their colorful and deeply spiritual culture there. On our first morning, Rinchen Darlo took us to the main temple, where we were approached, you could say swarmed, by a class of Indian students who were visiting there and were thrilled to meet foreigners. I was beginning to see the changes since my previous visits. My first was as an editor for Barry Bryant's groundbreaking book on the Wheel of Time Sand Mandala, for which His Holiness wrote the introduction. And since that time, sand mandalas have been created all over the world, so maybe you've seen one. So Rinchen encouraged us to visit the Library of Tibetan Works and Archives. And this was no ordinary library, but home to remarkable paintings and sculptures and books and other artifacts there that had been brought out of Tibet for preservation by people often risking their lives crossing the mountains into exile.
Thank you, Deborah. So we were fortunate enough to have medical appointments with Dr. Sawang Tamdin, who is the visiting personal physician to His Holiness the Dalai Lama and Chief Medical Officer at the Tibetan Medical and Astro Institute. Dr. Tandon took our pulse and was able to share with us any issues he detected and gave us very good advice on how to take care of our health. It was pretty remarkable how accurate his pulse reading was. So the traditional holistic Tibetan system of medicine, astronomy, and astrology has been practiced for over 3,000 years. And compassion towards everyone is at the essence of Tibetan medicine. I was very touched to hear that the Institute runs a wide network of 57 branch medical clinics in India and around the world and provides healthcare to anyone in need. I can personally attest to the power of Tibetan medicine. Many years ago, I had terrible allergies to the point that I was sneezing all the time and had a constant runny nose. And I took all sorts of Western allergy relief medicine and nothing worked. And when I used Tibetan medicine, miraculously, I never had the same issue again. So we also had the opportunity to go to the Institute's museum and saw samples of Tibetan medicine. You could see here their plant and mineral sources, instruments that have been used for various treatments, and thangkas that are Tibetan Buddhist paintings that are believed to have the power to alleviate physical and mental suffering and to increase healing powers for both oneself and others. And the photo that you see of the man on the lower right-hand corner making Tibetan medicine is the doctor we visited, Dr. Sawang Tamdin, the one that read our pulse. So that's a picture of him when he was younger. So he started very early.
We visited the Tibetan Children's Village, or TCV, which was founded in 1960, originally for the care and education of orphans, as well as destitute and refugee children from Tibet. From 1964 until 2006, its network across India that grew to counting more than 12,000 children was presided over by the Dalai Lama's sister, Jetsun Pema. Its beautiful motto is others before self. The current director of TCV, Ms. Lobsang Tsomo, gave us a tour of this unique place. The only school that gives children a Tibetan education where they can learn their own language and culture along with academic skills. TCV runs both schools and also vocational centers, and its graduates now support it with gratitude, including Mr. Wangdu, the owner of our hotel. Here you see some girls at TCV making momos, which are Tibetan dumplings, with their house mother. On my last visit to Dharamsala in 1997 with my dear friend Monica Willard, we brought a peace pole as a gift to the Tibetan Children's Village, where it still stands at their lovely temple. And at the time, I was sponsoring a child there, and we're still in touch.
We were blessed to visit several stupas in Dharamsala. Stupas are an important form of Buddhist architecture containing relics, which holds the remains of those who have devoted their lives to spiritual practices that are dedicated to the welfare of all. They also contain sacred texts and objects. This stupa in the photo is that of Trijang Rinpoche, who was one of the main tutors to the Dalai Lama for more than 40 years. His reincarnation, who I've known for many years, is currently 41 years old and lives in Vermont. He's the spiritual director of the Trijang Buddhist Institute.
And here you can see some of the beautiful Tibetan religious objects that we just passed by as we were walking up the hills of Dharamsala. This is the Norbulinka, which was built to preserve Tibetan arts, from its stunning architecture to crafts like weaving, wood carving, and thangka painting.
In March 1959, when His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama was 23 years old, he escaped Tibet by being disguised as a soldier and made a 2-week journey across the Himalayas to India, where he was welcomed by the Indian Prime Minister Nehru, who gave His Holiness permission to form the Tibetan government in exile in Dharamsala, India. About 80,000 Tibetans eventually followed. In order to preserve the rich Tibetan religious and cultural tradition, the Dalai Lama reestablished in exile traditional Tibetan learning institutions and museums, including the Tibet Museum. This museum's permanent exhibition is called I Am Tibetan, and This Is My Story, highlights the many ways Tibetan culture has been rebuilt and preserved by Tibetans in exile. Through objects, archives, photographs, personal testimonies, and the teachings of the Dalai Lama, one could get a full picture of Tibet's historical, political, and international history and current status. I was touched to read on the wall in the museum, with this museum, we reclaim our right to tell our stories on our own terms, in our own words. We are Tibetans, and this is our story. A lot has been taken away from them, so this museum is one tangible way the Tibetans are preserving their history and culture.
Rinchen Darlo took us to visit the office of the Tibet Fund, which under the patronage of His Holiness the Dalai Lama, works to preserve Tibet's rich cultural heritage and to strengthen Tibetan communities in exile. The Tibet Fund honored our beloved Olivia with an award at its annual gala in New York in 2022. A key element of traditional Tibetan life has always been the monasteries, which in Tibet served as universities as well as religious centers for Tibetan Buddhism. Since there are limits to religious freedom in Tibet, several of the larger monasteries have been reestablished in India to further religious studies. Women who wish to be ordained can enter nunneries like this one called Dolmaling. The nuns here study English and Tibetan along with religious texts. And this one's radiant face speaks to the joy that she gets from her studies. The impressive Gyuto Monastery is temporary home to His Holiness the 17th Gyalwang Karmapa, the head of the 900-year-old Karmakagyu lineage. The Gyuto monks are famous worldwide for their special frequency chanting, where each deep note sounds like an entire chord. After meeting Kangser Rinpoche, one of the head lamas, and having tea, we were invited to enter the temple and experience this awesome sound. while viewing the magnificent artifacts there. Inside the temple was this beautiful tekpu, a small house in which a sand mandala is created, an intricate work of art made from memory and used in tantric initiation rituals.
I wanted to present the Dalai Lama's secretary, Sarang Chime Tenzin, who was the Dalai Lama's nephew, and his lovely wife, Saren, as well as Rinchen Darlo, who gave us so much support in setting up our activities in Dharamsala, as well as guidance regarding the award presentation. This is a photo of the dinner we had with all of them and Olivia the night before our presentation. So here's our trip's highlight, which you just saw in video that Olivia just presented. The presentation of the Oneness of Humanity Award by Olivia Hansen, founder and president of the Spiritual Life TV channel and the Synthesis Foundation, who founded this award to honor those that are promoting and embodying oneness.
Ta-da!
Olivia has shared that the very purpose of our trip to Dharamsala was to honor His Holiness with the Oneness of Humanity Award for his outstanding life's effort to promote oneness and kindness and compassion, and to be such a shining example of it himself. The Dalai Lama has stated that the oneness of the entire humanity is his main effort. We were disappointed that Deborah was not able to join us for the award ceremony because she had a cold, unfortunately, that she didn't want to spread her germs, but we were happy to meet her after the ceremony. This photo was taken in front of the Dalai Lama's residence and administrative headquarters. Okay, before we left Dharamsala, we were given a tour of the new Dalai Lama Library and Archives, where the award will be housed. This library will preserve the previous, current, and future Dalai Lama's teachings in digital format, books, awards, and other resources. The Dalai Lama said at the inauguration of the library, "At a certain point, the whole question of Tibet seemed about to vanish like a rainbow. But we set up schools and reestablished our monasteries so that today, Tibetan culture, religion, and language thrive in exile."
After such a joyful experience, it was hard to leave Dharamsala, but it will always hold a special place in our hearts. Our deepest gratitude to Olivia Hansen for her vision, her wisdom, her friendship, her great generosity, and her light. May her commitment to the oneness of humanity shine that light throughout the world. May the Tibetan people thrive in their faith and devotion, and may His Holiness the Dalai Lama continue to be a beacon of hope in these times and for the ages to come. Thank you.
Wow, that was such an amazing presentation. The photos, seeing the Dalai Lama receiving the award, the warmth and gratitude on his face, and learning the history also about the Dalai Lama and seeing the way that Tibetans are preserving their culture. And then the Kyoto monks and temple. I didn't know about that. Well, what was the most inspiring moment on your trip, Diane?
Well, I think it was, there were so many inspiring moments, but the one for me was really to see in real time how someone, in this case, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, that has embodied oneness, kindness, compassion, peace, and emphasizes helping others and having a respect and reverence for all living things so that we can all live happily in oneness. How he is so revered, and seeing so many people line up in their best outfits, bearing gifts to pay their respects and show that humanity needs more role models like him to help illuminate our path forward. That was probably my highlight.
That sounds so moving, definitely. And what about for you, Reverend Deborah?
Well, for me, it was a very personal experience. When we entered the Gyuto Monastery temple, and we saw all of these monks there. I mean, I was just expecting to see the temple. I wasn't expecting to see the monks. And the minute we walked in, they started chanting. And if you've ever heard them chant with this deep guttural sound that they make, it goes right through to your soul. It's just extraordinary. And there was this moment, Diane and I just turned to each other and went, and for me, that was symbolic of the Tibetan culture, this incredible richness that they have in both in their spiritual life and also in all of the art and culture that comes out of that life, that the Tibetans managed to preserve when they went into exile in India. So it's quite extraordinary to see the town of Dharamsala with this kind of art and religion that it's can't really exist anymore in Tibet in its current political status, but they've rebuilt it in this beautiful Himalayan town. So being there was such a special experience. Yes, it was disappointing to have a cold and not want to give it to the Dalai Lama. I have met him before and been in his magical presence where his joy communicates to everyone. And as Diane said, it's so beautiful to see people's devotion to him personally and to their historic culture.
So true. Well, thank you so much for this wonderful presentation and for joining us today on Humanity's Team.
Thank you to Humanity's Team for having us and for spreading this idea of oneness. We love to participate in your annual Global Oneness Day and Summit. And it's a joy to be here with you and show our experiences.
Thank you.
Wow, that was that was fabulous, Olivia. I'm going to just I just want to cover a few things. We're actually just about out of time too. Olivia was really thoughtful to, we are right before the holidays here, and she has family in town, and very thoughtful to plan this with us, almost right in the middle of the holidays. So I want to thank Diane Williams, Deborah Moldow, Carissa Sims, Garth Catterall. Those are Garth was doing the editing on this here so that we could bring this into today's program live. So big shout out and thank you to you all. That was really very moving to just sort of be there, a fly on the wall as we're looking at all of what is there in Dharamsala, because there's of course the Dalai Lama and his residence and his offices, but there's so much more, which it was just really beautiful to be on that journey with you all there, Olivia, and that you in your video and in theirs, you really pulled out what he said. You put it in boldface, which was he said, that's my most important teaching. The oneness of humanity, the 8 billion people, that's my most important teaching. And he says, our country and our race and our color of skin, our faith, yes, these are all things that differentiate us. There's diversity and unity, but this oneness is sort of in the foreground. It's the most important thing. And gosh, that's where Olivia and I started this program, and it's where we're ending this program. And I want to say to this too, the great migration to conscious living is well underway. It's not being reported by the media, but oh my gosh, this age of consciousness is real. There is so much that's happening right now in terms of all of us really raising our awareness to what this is and then embodying it, expressing it, living into it. And that's the reason for today's program is that invitation. Let's stretch more into it, embody it, express it. It feels so good. During the holidays, we can practice with our family, and then bam, we can bring it out, into our workplace and all over the world. And before we know it, we get to this 8 to 10% tipping point thing. This journey is well underway. We can create a sustainable and flourishing world here and make conscious living pervasive worldwide by 2040. 16 short years from now. So let's do that together. And then I want to share, just because Olivia and Diane and Deborah were kind enough to bring in our education programs. We have this community. It's actually a community. It's also a streaming platform. It's called Humanity Stream Plus. And right now, we've got this 2-for-1 that's going on through just shortly after the 26th of December. So where you can purchase this subscription, which is already economical. There's already a 1-for-1 that gives one away to an underprivileged person. But now you get to pick your own recipient. You can give it to a spouse, a coworker, a family member. It's a 2-for-1, buy one, get one free. So you might want to check that out because we're a nonprofit. Our whole thing is we're just supporting you on your conscious journey and this whole beautiful unfolding here on the planet where we are really increasingly living into ultimate reality, our oneness. And Olivia, I want to, again, thank you so much for the leadership role that you play in today's world through your many gifts of being involved in organizations and supporting them and creating a trip like this and now an award ceremony like this. Oh my God, it goes on and on. Thank you so much.
Well, it's a pleasure to do that. And we were shooting for the award ceremony to be done live over I can't talk.
The Global Oneness Summit. Yeah.
Global Oneness Summit time, which would have been wonderful. But then our date got changed. So this is a substitute for that. We were able to carry out the Global Oneness Summit energy that you so magnificently share with the world and do it at Christmas time when we can expand upon that sharing of love and kindness and keep it going year round because it's so important.
Yes, it is. Living into our bigger selves, our eternal selves, our unlimited selves, our conscious selves. And so thank you, Olivia, Diane, Deborah, Carissa, Garth. Let me also thank, we can pull back the camera, Jim Gray is right here in the studio. That's me on the couch, that's Jim over there. Jim, thank you for, once again, pulling off a live program where you've got Olivia down in Scottsdale, Arizona. I'm here in Boulder, Colorado, and then we're bringing in these videos of partners and Dharamsala, India, and the Dalai Lama. It was flawless, I think, from beginning to end. Jim, thank you. And then Nanette Kennedy, Dee Meyer, Andy Guski, Karen Watson, all of my partners and colleagues. There actually are 40 of them, so I can't go on here and name them all right now. But thank you, guys. You guys made this program possible. We appreciate it. And all of you viewers, so we're leaving you with a fantastic invitation of living into this, what we call conscious living. It goes by many names, actually. And have a fantastic holiday because we're right here in the holiday season. And of course, the reason for the season, right, is what we're all paying close attention to. It's really what this award ceremony was about. Okay, so thank you all, and love and peace and blessings, you all.
Thank you, Steve. Great to be with you all.
You too, Olivia. Looking forward to having you back again soon.